the MLS is almost here, and we have an 18-team playoff. I don't know how I like that. So with that, the MLS is maybe implementing an 18-team playoff. What it is, it's going to be the 8th and 9th team in a play-in game, and then next game is for the quarterfinals is going to be the best of 3 series, and then the semifinals and finals is going to be an elimination. I don't like that. First off, I disagree with the 18 teams altogether. That is like 60-some% of the league making it to the playoffs. There should not be that many teams in the playoffs. I think that we should do a 12-team playoff. And really, I think 12 teams is way too much. But 12 teams, you give 1 and 2, the first and second place seed in each conference a bye, have the other teams play in, and then go from there. And maybe even make that a home and away series. That might be better. I do not like this 18-team playoff suggestion that they might implement. Now, with that being said, let's jump in and make our final predictions for this. So if this does happen, we're going to start with the West. There's going to be a quick run through. I made predictions back before the transfer market came in, and yeah, it has definitely changed from then because people have moved away. We have had incoming people, so we're going to jump into the Western Conference. We're going to go with number 9, Minnesota United. Putting them here because they're in a rebuilding season, but I think that they are better than some of those other teams there in the West. Then you have the Vancouver Whitecaps I'm going to bring in at number 8 here. They finished 9th last season. I think that they have stuff to build on, but they are better than a Houston and a San Jose, and then even a Minnesota. I think that they are better than them. So I'm going to say that they would finish in that 8th spot there in the West. So they're in that 7th spot. I'm going to put Sporting KC. I did have Minnesota United there, but I think Sporting KC have some talent there that is going to push them a little bit higher than Minnesota United. So I had Minnesota United 7th in that last video, and in this video, I'm going to have Sporting KC coming in that 7th spot. Now, this might catch some people by surprise. I think in that 6th spot in the West, it is going to be LAFC. Yes, I think that LAFC drops from that number 1 position all the way down to 6th, and that is taking LA Galaxy's spot. So I'm moving LA Galaxy up, but you won't get to know that yet. But with them losing Aranga and Bale leaving, yes, they did just bring in Aubameyang. I don't think that it's going to be enough. I think that they need more strength. I think that Aubameyang is on his, he already reached his peak. Now he's coming back down, in my opinion. So that is my 6th position there. Now, in my number 5th spot, I have to put Portland Timbers. I had Seattle Sounders here, but I'm going to have to move that around and put Portland here. I think that I'm moving them down because Portland was 4th in the last video. I just think that Portland does have a good team. We're not going to see 2 seasons in a row with them not being in the playoffs. But I do think it needs to be a time where they start implementing younger guys in the lineup. Now, I'm sorry, I don't know their whole roster, but you have your Chara brothers there that are a little bit older. Blanco, he is also a little bit older. I think that you need to implement more younger guys and maybe bring someone in if you want to move up in that standings in the conference. Now, in that number 4 spot, I have to put Seattle Sounders, so I flip-flop Portland and Seattle. I thought that Seattle didn't look terrible in the FIFA Club World Cup. I think that they have a lot of potential, and bringing in Hibbert, we didn't even get to see him. He played, I think, maybe 3 minutes in the game. I think that he should have got more. I don't know if there was an injury there or not, but I think once we see him implemented in, Ruud Diaz did not do very much in that Club World Cup game. But I think that there's potential there. And again, just like Portland, we're not going to see 2 seasons in a row where Seattle doesn't make the playoffs. Now, coming in that third position, I'm going to stick with FC Dallas. I picked FC Dallas in the last video. I think that they're a good team. If they can find a way to put the ball in the back of the net, I think that they could potentially be they can be higher on that list. But I think that FC Dallas does have a lot of talent. They have a lot of potential, but Jesus Ferreira needs someone else to score with him. And if they can produce more offense, I think they were one of the lower scoring playoff teams during the regular season in the West there. So if they can produce someone, put in someone else that gets the goals there with Jesus, I think that they could be higher, but I'm going to stick with them in that third position. Now, moving on to that second place position, you're going to guess it. It is LA Galaxy. I think that they are going to be in that second position. I don't know why I decided to move them up all the way. They're returning with a lot of players. They were fourth last season. Chicharito is going to do Chicharito things, but they have a lot of potential there. And even though I don't care for them, and I know that I talked about it in the live stream with the Seattle Sounders game, that I don't care for LA Galaxy, after looking into it further, I think that they're going to finish second this year in the Western Conference. If not second, I think that they will finish in the top 5. And if you've put it all together, in that number 1 position for the Western Conference is going to be Austin FC. I did have LAFC in there, but because of their moves, I had to move them down. And we move Austin up. I just think that they have that attacking ability. I mean, Austin was the only team that gave LAFC a run in the West. And I think that Austin is going to build off of that. And I believe that they will finish in that number 1 seed in the Western Conference. So we move on to the Eastern Conference, and I'm going to have to say that for that 9th position, if we have the 18-team playoffs, which I really hope that we don't, I like the way that it is now compared to what this could potentially be, but I really don't even like the format now. But in that 9th position, we have New York Red Bull. I think that there wasn't a lot of movement in the roster, and I know that they finished, I believe, 4th last season. Yes, 4th, I have it there. And the East wasn't that strong, in my opinion, last year compared to the Western Conference. Just finishing 4th, that's good, but I think that they're going to drop down this year, and I think they'll finish in that 9th spot in the East. I'm probably going to be completely wrong, but that's where I'm going with New York Red Bulls. Now, for that 8th position, I'm going to have to drop Inter Miami from 5th down to 8th. They had a pretty good season last year. They finished 6th, I believe, in the conference, in the table there. I think that they're bringing back players. They did bring in Joseph Martinez. I think that he will help for them, but I can't see them doing better than this area. They might go up to 5th. They're going to be between 5th and 8th. I don't think that they are a top 4 team in the East, so I am going to have to go with them there in the 8th position. Now, in that 7th position, I'm going to have to put Orlando City. I did have Columbus Crew. Orlando finished in 7th last season. To me, they haven't made enough moves to make them a top 3 team, so I really think that they're going to finish between that 7th and 5th spot. But here in my predictions, I do believe that with what they have, we'll finish 7th again this season in the Eastern Conference. So next up, we have the 6th place. I think that the 6th place is going to be the Columbus Crew. I did have Nashville here in the first video, but I think Columbus will fit in here. And I moved them up because they did bring in Nancy, and they already had some key good players in place. So I think that they will do a little bit better, and I believe that they will finish 6th there in the Eastern Conference. So now we have number 5, and I have to put Atlanta United here in 5th. We did have Inter Miami here in the 5th, but we dropped them down. Atlanta do need to bring in a midfielder, in my opinion, to make it a little bit better. They did bring in Giakoumakis from Celtic, which is pretty cool, from one of my favorite teams to another one of my favorite teams. And actually, Celtic were like the OG for me. That's where I got my start in soccer. and started watching was there in the Scottish Premiership. Yes, I know that's weird. Usually it's Europe. You know, you have your Real Madrids, Barcelona, anyone in the English Premier League, but that's where mine started. Well, Scotland is in Europe, but you know what I mean. But yeah, so I got the start with Celtic back in 2011 is whenever I started really paying attention to club soccer. But yes, Giakoumakis, bringing him in, I think that it's going to be good. I think he's going to bring that real good number 9 that we need in Atlanta. Yes, I love Joseph Martinez. He is my favorite player. I hate that he moved on. I hate that they separated, but I understand that it is a business, one, and two, you're trying to win a championship. And I don't know if how Pineda is wanting the guys to play. I don't think that Joseph fits that style. So it is what it is, but I'm going to have Atlanta there in that 5th spot. So I'm going to catch some people off guard here in that number 4 spot. I've talked to a couple fans for this team, but I'm going to have to go with Toronto FC. With them picking up Sean Johnson, and they have a pretty good built team. If Insigne has a good season, and if somehow Michael Bradley has a pretty good season, I think Toronto could do it. I really think that they could, especially with the likes of Sean Johnson. I think that leadership, yes, he's a fantastic goalkeeper, but with that leadership, I think that he could help out in a lot of ways with that team. So yes, I am going with a surprise pick here at that number 4, and I will have to go with Toronto FC. Now, in that 3rd spot, I'm going to have to go with Nashville. We did have Atlanta there in the last video, but I had to move Nashville up because looking at what happened last year, they finished 5th in a very strong Western Conference. In my opinion, that's my opinion. Tell me down below what you think of these picks, who you have finishing in the 1 through 9 spots for each conference if they are going to have this 18-team playoffs. But yes, I have to move Nashville up to 3rd. They have a lot of key guys coming back. Mukhtar, if he can have another season like he did last year, there's no stopping him. I think that they will look good here in the East. They will be one of the top performers. So that is why I'm having them come in that number 3 spot. And no surprise, I am going to keep at that number 2 spot FC Cincinnati. I think under Pat Noonan, if Vasquez and Acosta don't move on, if they are not traded mid-season, I really do believe FC Cincinnati can make a very good run, and I do believe that they will come in that 2nd spot in the East. And last but not least, we have the Philadelphia Union, of course. They were just so dominant in the East last year. Really no one competed with them but Montreal. Yes, I did not have Montreal in my top 9 for the East. I think that it is definitely going to be a rebuild season for them. But for the Philadelphia Union, I actually believe that they might win. This is my prediction here on this video. I think that they could win the Supporters' Shield, and I think that they're going to be dominant like they were last year because not a lot of things changed roster-wise. I know that Aronson moved on, but I think that they have a very good core of guys, and I think that they're going to be the best team in the league during the regular season. So that's my final predictions before the season starts. We're going to live stream the first week predictions here on the channel, so tune in for that. Be ready for it. I'm really excited for the season. Can't wait for it to get started. I can't wait to chat with you all, and so we'll see you on Wednesday before match day 1.